Good evening. Ayrton Senna, 3 times world motor racing champion, has died after crashing during the San Marino Grand Prix. Senna suffered irreversible brain damage when his car veered off the track at almost 200 miles an hour. He was taken to hospital in nearby Bologna, but he died a few hours later. Senna, aged 34 and from Brazil, was widely regarded as one of the greatest drivers of his generation.
In only my second full season of Formula One, I had been thrust into the role of team leader at the Williams Formula One team after the harrowing death of my teammate Ayrton Senna. From that moment, the championship became a battle between myself and the young German Benetton driver, Michael Schumacher, both with the opportunity to become world champion for the first time.
Responds with a near-perfect lap of 1 minute 18.580 seconds to take pole position by nearly a full second. It's a staggering performance by the young German.
And just knew that this is the lap and the tyres will perform 100%, and I'm going to make a big step out of compared to the first lap. In the last corner I came really sideways and I lost quite a lot.
Senna is, in fact, the only name you need to know recently. He won 6 out of the last 7 Grands Prix here, and he led the 7th before crashing. There have been many memorials to the memory of Ayrton Senna. Among them, in the garage area, there you see the Brazilian flag standing in the Williams pit. Another tribute to the late 3-time world champion. Our Formula One fact, today there is no former winner of this race who will take part in the 52nd running of the Grand Prix of Monaco. Our corner of this tiny principality, and the first man there often determines what happens in the race. Get set. Chopping across the field, gets sideways and tags the guardrail with a little help from someone behind him. He's in the runoff area at Saint-Devote. It might have been Damon Hill who got him from behind. It looks like one of the Tyrrells is also into the guardrail.
All over for Hakkinen, and that's a great pity. He looked so determined in qualifying all through the weekend, and I thought he was really going to give this man Schumacher a real run for his money, but fortunately the rest of the field basically got through as clean as a whistle.
You see them making the run down to Mirabeau, the hotel at that corner. Now a sharp downhill run to this, the Lowe's hairpin, once known as the station hairpin. Here's another look.
Oh, Hakkinen got tapped. Damon took him. Came
across Damon Hill's right front wheel. I didn't see who spun the Tyrrell into the guardrail in the background, but there you see Mika Hakkinen out of his machine. No sign of a red flag. I believe the race is still underway as leader Michael Schumacher makes his first pass along the harbor.
Lead already. There's Damon Hill staggering along very slowly, obviously out of the race, his wheels pointing in different directions at the front end. What an awful weekend for Damon. He qualified finally very well, but he had all sorts of problems during the weekend and the build up to the race.
And what a horrible moment for Frank Williams, of whom it is said he did not want to bring his team to this race at all in deference to Ayrton Senna. But he was convinced to bring a car for Damon Hill. Hill is now out of the race. Michael Schumacher leads. Christian Fittipaldi in the footwork was the other car out at Senna.
They say that in fact he likes a slightly different setup on his car to Schumacher, but I'm afraid we find that a little bit hard to believe that you could be 4 seconds off just due to setup. But again, Leto is such a star driver, I can't understand his mentality. Here he is, in fact, about to be lapped by his teammate just after 17 laps. Now that is pretty galling for somebody of Leto's class. He's going to let him by, yes, as easy as you like, thank you, and off he goes. There has to be a lot of discipline on this circuit, and so far we've seen some very good driving, and where the overtaking has taken place, it's been very controlled.
The top of the charts, and he is pulling in now. He then came out and knocked more than a second off that time. He has qualified faster than Ayrton Senna ever drove around the Principality, and now he comes in for service. See the fuel going in from the right.
Fairly obviously, I would say, he only started with a light amount of fuel.
And just if the race were to end now, Michael Schumacher's 4th straight victory will give him 10 more points for a total of 40. Gerhard Berger, who runs in 3rd for Ferrari, would move into 2nd place with 10 points. Damon Hill, who was knocked out of the race, will score no more, but he will hold on to 7 and will remain tied for 3rd with Rubens Barrichello. And then there would be a tie between Nicola Larini, who of course does not drive for Ferrari now that Alesi is back, but Martin Brundle, who runs in 2nd place for McLaren, would jump up into a tie with Larini and Jean Alesi with 6 points. The finish line they come in nice order for a photograph anyway.
Exactly. I got the impression just now that in fact that Schumacher had actually got past Leto to lap him for the 2nd time, and then Schumacher pulled over and let Leto go back by again. I got that impression.
Well, stranger things have happened in Monte Carlo, but I think the likelihood of that happening is a little remote, as Jackie Ickx gives victory flag once again to Michael Schumacher, and really the race was given to him in this corner on the 1st lap when Damon Hill nudged Mika Häkkinen out of the Grand Prix.
With Saturday's afternoon qualifying session being cooler than Friday, it's Schumacher's Benetton that takes pole position with a lap of 1 minute 21.908 seconds. Hill is 2nd, half a second behind, and Häkkinen 3rd. The Circuit de Catalunya pays tribute to the late Ayrton Senna with a memorial unveiled by Bernie Eccleston at the circuit entrance.
He has so much in hand over everybody else. You don't need to be spectacular. Just come in, get a good job done, and exit nice and safe. Notice the larger front wings. There were long end plates that extended around the front wheel. As you can see, they have been chopped off under the new rules.
We don't know at this moment, but I think there is very definitely something wrong with the car Michael Schumacher is driving. There we see him on some parts of the circuit. He's very quick, and Mika Häkkinen is right behind him. Mika Häkkinen right behind Michael Schumacher. So if Häkkinen takes this, Mika Häkkinen is a new leader of the race, and Mika, just wait, relax. The race leader is in trouble. Häkkinen leads the Spanish Grand Prix. Mika. Now, John, maybe we can see whether the indicator, that's it, gearbox broken, he stays in 5th gear. I think that's the end for Michael Schumacher. He cannot select any other gear than 5th.
So I said earlier on that tyres were going to control this race, and that is exactly what is happening. As we look at Schumacher there, we do have a report from the pits, from Rory Byrne, one of the technical experts, with Benetton, that he is still stuck in 5th gear. I do find this very hard to believe, and
we have a new race leader here in Spain, because Damon Hill has made what I believe, John, is his final pit stop. So, and there has Mika Häkkönen's blown his engine. Mika Häkkinen has blown that engine. So now it's JJ Lehto in third. Oh dear, that is a very big blow up indeed for Mika Häkkinen.
Going beyond that, because this FW16 has not been the class of the field so far in 1994. That has gone to Benetton Ford. But what a way to start their climb back, and what an opportunity we now face with 4 coming Grand Prix. We've got Canada in 2 weeks' time, then on to the French Grand Prix, and finally Silverstone in July.
Damon Hill wins his first Grand Prix of the 1994 Grand Prix season.
Absolutely, you can see, looking into the Williams pits, there's been enormous pressure on the team, and I think that they've done a fantastic job, not just today. Now stopping to pick up the Union Jack, take it back proudly to start-finish line before he will climb onto the podium to receive his winner's prize.
To win was better, to be honest, was better than I expected to do. Michael put up as usual, and as to be expected, a tough fight. But this victory must go to everyone at Williams who have been through terrible times, and also to all the fans of Ayrton Senna who I met in Brazil, who said to me that they would be very pleased to see the Williams team do well. And so really to everyone, thank you very much.
I had some difficulties. I mean, the car was running perfect in the beginning. Could open a gap quite easy, and then suddenly I wanted to shift into different gears, and it didn't want to do what I asked it to do. I don't know actually what really happened. I just know that I finished then going in 5th gear, and then everything stopped. I went straight in the pits, asked them if they could do anything to the car, but we were not able to do anything. We just changed tyres and tried to finish the race. I mean, I never would have imagined to finish that race, and then even in 2nd position. I mean, for me, it's something like a victory.
The Williams is visibly more committed through the sweeps of Magix, Beckett and Chappell. Schumacher sets off for his last run as Hill finishes his with a pole-grabbing time of 1 minute 24.960, 2/100ths of a second quicker than Berger. It's now all eyes on the monitors and the Benetton to see if Schumacher can steal the pole position. One 1:24.963 is not enough. Hill has the pole by just 0.003 of a second.
Schumacher's Benetton screens off the line at the start of the formation lap and contravenes the FIA regulation Article 120 by overtaking the pole position man as the field comes round to form up for the race start. As the cars take up position, Coulthard's engine stalls and the start is aborted. Coulthard now having to start the race from the back of the grid.
Oil dripping onto exhaust, but it is increasing with RPM.
And the red light is on, and who is making the best start again? It's Michael. No, it's Damon Hill. Damon Hill's got the best start.
And Martin Brundle's engine or something has caught fire. The car has been pulled off to the left of the circuit. But Damon Hill got into Copse first. He consolidated that pole position, but there was drama for Martin Brundle with that engine. He had to pull straight off the circuit and is out of his British Grand Prix.
Damon Hill leads, Michael Schumacher. Then it's a Ferrari, Rubens Barrichello, another Ferrari, and Jos Verstappen. Damon Hill in the pits. Damon Hill, the first man in the pits, so that would probably be a 3-stop race, I think, John.
Well, it's a big risk, but I'm going to put it down on my sheet of paper and see, as we know from the time, that's a pretty quick pit stop. So I would expect him to be back in probably in another 16 or so laps, which could indicate 3 stops. For 2. Schumacher may take advantage of the lead, try and... He's in the pits. Well, in on lap 17, so much for my theories and for the potential variation that the Benetton team might have been implementing. So Michael Schumacher, let's see how quick he is in and out. The fuel nozzle in, wheels, tires off, back on. Anything more than 7 seconds, well, you can just see the nozzle came out just under 6 seconds, so that's going to mean a very similar view to the race from Benetton as we've seen from Williams.
Well, the lap was quicker in comparison to Damon Hill's lap, and Damon Hill will now be behind Michael Schumacher. There we see it, because Schumacher's in lap was a 1:32.4, and that was 2.4 seconds quicker than Damon did.
Because you know, Gerhard will not let that guy by easily.
Well, Michael Schumacher has got a black flag, lap 22. Well,
I wonder, is that from the pit road? It may have been a fine for, or a black flag for exceeding the speed limit, and well, that is going to change entirely the outcome of this year's British Grand Prix at Silverstone. And fine race between the front three, Berger, Schumacher and Hill, and he's managed to slide under Gerhard Berger, but as he comes across start-finish line, the black flag will be out, and well, Schumacher, we're waiting to see as he comes across Berger into the pit lane. The black flag is out, the number 5 is held out for Schumacher, and the team, of course, will be in contact with him as well.
Schumacher in the pits, Michael Schumacher in the pits.
And he came in the pit lane very, very quick. He braked heavily. You could see how fast he came in the pit lane, braked heavily. Now makes his way down to the end of the pit lane, where he will be delayed momentarily.
It's a 5-second penalty for Michael Schumacher. And actually, someone walked into our booth, John, a couple of minutes ago and said, well, apparently it's for jump start, but I didn't see him jump to start. So
and he had a great start.
Quicker than Jean Alesi was, and well, this is not a replay of the start, but John, there is more and more talk coming from the officials that it was something to do either with the start or with the warm-up lap, because he did overtake Damon Hill, and as far as I'm concerned, you're not allowed to overtake on that warm-up lap. Damon, Georgie, Betty and Damon's sister all here. Joshua is watching back home, and both the kids are watching back home here on Eurosport, and Georgie said, please say hello to my boys. So here we do, because Damon has won the British Grand Prix for the very first time in his career. It's his 5th Grand Prix victory, and Damon Hill is closing the gap again with World Championship leader Michael Schumacher, who is going to finish in 2nd position. There he is, crossing the line in his Benetton Ford. It's Williams Renault, Benetton Ford, Ferrari, McLaren Peugeot, Jordan Hart and another Williams Renault.
Come true that I won the British Grand Prix, and I feel like that has completed the little hole that my father left in his record, and I'm sure that he'll be delighted, and I think it's a wonderful thing.
I have really to make a big compliment to Damon to win here in front of the home Grand Prix. It's something special.
Thanks, Michael.
Schumacher finds himself with a 2-race ban and disqualification from the British Grand Prix following his formation lap contravention and his ignoring of the black flag. It's a major blow to the championship leader's title aspirations. Schumacher appeals against his 2-race ban. The hearing will take place after Belgium. He does run the risk of having his sentence increased by the appeal, but the pressure...
Lap 19, Schumacher makes an uncharacteristic error. Lap 37, Coulthard waves Hill past after receiving a radio message to call into the pits to have his rear wing checked out. It's the first of a number of problems to beset the young Scotsman. Verstappen 4th, Hakkinen 3rd, and Hill 2nd, unable to do anything about catching the winner, but for the first time in '94, Michael Schumacher.
After the race, yet more controversy for Schumacher as he's disqualified for an undersized plank, which the Benetton team claims is a result of this spin on lap 19. The race win is therefore awarded to Damon Hill. The International Court of Appeal upholds the 2-race ban imposed on Schumacher for ignoring the black flag at the British Grand Prix. He'll therefore miss the Italian and Portuguese Grand Prix.
Schumacher's championship title chase is back on course, but it's not over yet with 2 races left and Schumacher on 86 points to Hill's 81.
Back in the position where you left 2 races ago, it's the best thing that happened. The whole weekend was great. It started with a football match, which my team won. It went further with pole position on Saturday, after not nice qualifying on Friday, where we had a little problem, but it worked out in Saturday's qualifying, and then winning the race by not just a little margin, by a big margin.
It is wet, and the grid will be decided on Friday's times. With a 60% chance of rain for the race, Schumacher's thoughts on how grippy or not the track may be give some indication of what we can expect.
Of course, there are certain areas where it keeps the water, and the water doesn't go away, but it is quite grippy, I would say, and it's all right. But if it is heavy rain, then it's going to be very difficult.
Damon Hill is happy, wet or dry.
It would be a mistake to be overconfident. I think that things are getting better for us over the weekend. I'm on the front row, and that's very important. And if I can make it to the first corner first, then I think that I'm in very good shape.
And then the green light to get the 15th of 16 rounds of the World Championship underway. Michael Schumacher makes a right turn directly into the path of Damon Hill, and look at that spray. Schumacher, Hill being challenged by Heinz-Harald Frentzen in the Sauber. Then Johnny Herbert, who got a great start, and the same for Jean Alesi.
That was a certain amount of lack of control with wheel spin. Look at the visibility problems.
Now, the resurfacing of this racetrack, the drivers say, has made the runoff better, but it is not perfect. There are still standing puddles in places. And keep in mind, this is a very, very quick racetrack. 135 mile an hour average when they're in the dry. They touch 200 miles an hour at various parts when the track is clear, including this part approaching turn 1. Schumacher trying to win the race. If he does, Hill must be in second place. If he is in third, Schumacher clinches the World Championship here today as he struggles, going way wide in that corner
Oh, you have to be mistake-free. You have to be mistake-free in a long, long race like this.
Derek Daly with you. As you can see, the rain has gotten worse, and we have a yellow flag all the way around the racetrack. The safety car will come out, and Johnny Herbert is off. Johnny Herbert is off in the second Benetton, and that could have enormous implications for the Constructors' Championship. Moments ago, Michael Schumacher almost spun out at the start-finish line. Now, as you can see, the field is slowing behind the safety car. No official word yet on whether they will red flag the race and bring it to a halt, or simply let the cars circulate until they are prepared to turn them loose again on the off chance that the rain lets up. We prepare to begin lap number 12. The yellow flag came out due to heavy rains on lap number 3, and the cars circulated behind the safety car since that point, while 5 cars were taken off the racetrack following accidents. Johnny Herbert, Takechiho Inoue, JJ Leto, Ukio Katayama, and Hideki Noda all out of the race. And that, of course, includes all 3 of the Japanese drivers. And there is one, that is Martin Brundle in the McLaren, I believe. He becomes the 5th car we have lost in the last 2 laps of this race. We saw the entire Minardi team wiped out a few laps ago.
And you can see heavy damage. Left front suspension completely gone. Right rear suspension totally gone. Huge impact for Martin Brundle, who was so good yesterday in the rain. And the troubled area is the same one. The right-hander, which is the Degner corner, exiting. And it brings out the red flag. Forced to stop.
Lights are off on the safety car as the field approaches the top of the hill behind Michael Schumacher. He and Damon Hill locked in a struggle for the World Championship. If the race were to end in these positions, Schumacher over Hill, the World Championship would go to the final race of the year next Sunday in Adelaide, Australia.
Would you see Mansell get sideways? He's the most experienced at these rolling starts, but he gets her sideways on the run to the hairpin. Look at Damon Hill.
In the Casio Triangle, the chicane that has provided so many of the dramatic moments in this race over the years. Down to the green flag comes Michael Schumacher, and the rooster tails fly once again. 26 cars started the race, 15 remain in the running. Half old.
Schumacher is so good at his in-laps and his out-laps. They say he gains more time on people while he's on the pit lane, as well as gaining while he's actually stopped. Look at no tear-offs. In fact, his helmet's beginning to fall apart. The little rubber strip that he had is beginning to come off. 8 seconds. We've seen better.
There's Damon Hill now pitting. Could this be his one and only stop?
That's 1.2 seconds longer, so I can only presume if we can get a long shot.
This is the battle for third coming along. Schumacher has gone by, and Damon Hill will lose extra positions. He will re-enter in 4th spot.
Knowing that Alesi and Mansell have yet to stop, so he will gain. And he believes he deserved the World Championship.
You wonder why that time comes down the way it does, even though Damon Hill is nowhere in sight. Once again, it is the computer measuring each car's progress through the race distance. Now there is Michael Schumacher. As you can see, even though Damon Hill is out ahead of him on the racetrack, Schumacher is in the lead by 1.1 seconds as a result of the accumulated time. The format into which this race has been forced following a red flag on lap 13. The
race leader will make a second pit stop as the laps begin to dwindle here at Suzuka Circuit. Slows down to meet the pit lane speed limit of 50 miles an hour.
And he shouldn't need much fuel, so this should be a quick stop.
New set of groove rain tires goes on.
Splash and go, and the very time you want the tires and wheels to go on quickly, they don't. The right front gets held up for a couple of seconds, and a 7-second pit stop is just normal for Benetton, even though the fuelers were finished before the tire man. That may be costly.
The Japanese Grand Prix in 1994. The checkered flag is out. Damon Hill has got to wait. Oh yes, 57.884. That is definitely quick enough, because a 65 is not quick enough. Damon Hill has won the Japanese Grand Prix by 3.3 seconds from Michael Schumacher. And for the first time in the 1994 season, John, he's beaten Michael Schumacher and the Benetton team in a straight fight.
Extremely satisfying moment for Damon.
It was flat out all the way. It was. I knew that I couldn't take any. I couldn't be cautious. I knew that I really just could not drive with any amount of conservatism. So I was really sort of throwing caution to the wind and in an effort to stay ahead of Michael. And that's so satisfying to race like that. But it really does mean a lot to end up in first position at the end of the race.
If you win on Sunday, you'll be a new king of Germany, the first one.
We talk about this on Sunday evening.
Michael and you, do you have contact here in between the days, talk to each other, or you prefer to stay separate?
I haven't seen Michael, no, but I'm sure we'll bump into each other somewhere.
Mansell is quickest in Friday's official qualifying, with Schumacher second and Hill third, the young German having a sizable off at the end of the session.
Schumacher, who leads from Hill. And we've had so far everybody cleanly through the new Ayrton Senna. Christian Fittipaldi, another Brazilian, has to take a shortcut, but look at the cars from left to right, right to left. But Michael Schumacher from second row or second grid position and Nigel Mansell is off the track already, has gone wide. Rubens Barrichello has gone past him, but Michael Schumacher got the dream start. Damon Hill, a great start from the second row, but really the problem of not being in the front row of the grid is the reason why Damon Hill, you can see the gap, probably almost 2 seconds, and we're only halfway round this first lap of 81.
We're on lap 7 of the Australian Grand Prix, the World Championship decider for both the drivers and constructors titles. Michael Schumacher made a very good start indeed, took the lead into the first corner. Damon Hill followed him. Michael took about 2.5 seconds on that opening lap, but Damon is fighting back. The gap at the end of lap 6, 1.484 seconds, and fastest lap now in the hands of Damon Hill. Right behind must be Frank Lacoste, John. Who's he?
And he's in the pits. Well, Schumacher, this I have to predict. And Damon Hill, so the Williams and the Benetton teams, both on what I now believe will be a 3-stop race. Who's going to be out first? Because Damon Hill had to travel slightly further in the pit lane to get to his pits. The Benetton team have got their car moving, and he is out. Damon Hill's car is moving as well, and it is status quo, but it's now down to the ability of both drivers to maximise their speed on this outlap. Michael Schumacher again over the course of the year has been the man that has made the best of his outlap, but Damon Hill knows he's on a mission, and that mission is a World Championship crown. Schumacher, look at Damon Hill and Schumacher. Oh no! Schumacher and him, and this looks like the World Championship.
This is the end for Schumacher.
Well, let's wait and see. Whatever happens to Damon, he's in trouble as well.
He's in trouble as well.
So Schumacher out of his car. Damon Hill will have to go back to the pits with a bumper arm on the left-hand side. Whatever Schumacher did in the corner, and Damon now, you can see a tire looks like it's gone down. Is this the end of the 94? What an appalling sight for what had been absolutely fantastic. Damon Hill, left front going down, but more importantly, the upper wishbone, you can see the rearward link of that upper wishbone is kinked. Damon Hill ought to be able to get back to the pits, but can they get it changed in enough time to allow Damon Hill to get back out onto the circuit and Senna? And I can imagine the disgust. Well, there's one face who knows what he's done. There's another man who has seen the World Championship taken away from him. He feels justifiably robbed. And I mean, the entire Williams team, they're standing around looking at it, waiting for it to repair in itself. They've now got the toolbox out. They're now going to take that offending part off. Michael Schumacher, well,
if only Damon had waited for another corner, maybe. Who knows? What can we say? Of the year, there is Damon Hill. He will be saying words I will not repeat on television.
History repeats itself. Back in 1989, it was Alain Prost and Ayrton Senna. Back in 1990, it was Ayrton Senna and Alain Prost. And here in Adelaide, in the last Grand Prix of the year, Michael Schumacher drove his car, gave Damon Hill no room whatsoever. Now the argument will be that Michael could have said, well, he didn't have to pass me. But Damon, in my mind, he put his car in position. He clearly was forced into no man's land. An awful and a bad taste to what up to now had been an absolutely fantastic finale in the 94 championship. Damon Hill will, I'm sure, in a moment when this race is finished, want some explanation. Michael, that smile, I have to say, is, well, you are world champion.
He'll probably say you can't believe it, John. Driving off the circuit, hitting the wall, and one corner later, he's basically world champion.
Pushed him very hard all the way. It was a terrific race, and all I can say is that it's over now, and it's a bit of an empty feeling, but I think I gave him a good run for his money, and he certainly was feeling the pressure because he ended up falling off the road.
Michael Schumacher is Germany's first ever Formula One world champion. He may have made it look easy, but it's been a tough year for him too.
The season has been started quite well, I would say, in Brazil. Even Aida, it was a good race, and then we came up to Imola, and what happened there is just when I talked about nightmare in the before, then I have to say it's in the other direction, and all of us know what kind of feelings we had to make about this in particular for Ayrton, but as well for Roland, and as well for Carl, what happened in Monte Carlo. For me, it was always clear that I'm not going to win the championship, and it's Ayrton who is going to win the championship, but he hasn't been there for the last races, and I'd like to take this championship and give it to him.